Hey, what's up guys? Today, we're looking at this cool little game called Vampirem. This is a game that was actually sent to me by the developer, and it's the second time I've done something like this, so I thought that was pretty cool. So, what is Vampirem? Well, this game is a hack and slash dungeon crawler with some RPG elements, and the best part about it? Your character is this vampire bird guy with powers. There's actually a good amount of powers you'll need to get used to. In no specific order, there's one called Sight, which highlights nearby items and enemies. It slowly drains your mana, which in this game is called Essence, but this power is just useful and you'll probably see me use it a lot. You'll also see this glowing green guy next to me a lot, and that's because Summon is one of my favorite powers. At least in the regular dungeons. It's not as useful during boss fights, but I'll get into that later. You can also shoot this pretty cool fireball, which is a nice ranged attack. You could combo it with a powerful blood strike attack, not to mistake it for the power called Bloodlust. This is just a strong melee type of attack, good for groups of enemies and just lots of damage. Wrapping it up with the powers, being able to heal yourself is pretty self-explanatory, and also you're able to warp around, cause remember, you're part bird or something. But that should cover all of the powers. I'm sure you have a good idea of the combat by now just by watching. Since we're looking at a hack and slash, the gameplay is nothing complicated, but I personally don't think that's a bad thing. I kind of enjoy the simplicity of just hitting stuff. The most complicated it gets is using your powers while in a fight or something. There is some depth to the game, just not much in the combat. There's more progression with leveling up in the items in your inventory. You can even synergize items together to do more damage. You do get XP and new items as you play the game. You can upgrade basic things like your attack, essence, and health. You can also upgrade your lockpicking skill, but I didn't really bother with that. You can also pick a skill whenever you level up, which is nice that they even have this. I just wish the skills were explained a bit better and that they felt more useful. You can also find items like consumables, weapons, and armor as you kill and loot enemies. Even better, you can find this head, which is an item shop where you can sell and buy items. You can randomly find these shops in the dungeon, but you can consistently find them when you enter these tomb rooms. Man, don't even get me started on the tomb rooms. You encounter these rooms about every other level for most of the game. I make it sound like I hate them, but they're really a gift and a curse. You see, you go into these rooms with the main purpose of getting more loot and getting stuff done, right? That would be cool if you didn't have this douchebag chasing you the whole time. These rooms are very important because you find a bunch of these tombs which are puzzles and you get good loot when you complete them. You can also make these bloodstones to heal yourself. I would have enjoyed the tomb rooms if it wasn't for this piece of shit. Oh, and did I mention that he's invincible? But I guess you need something to keep you on your toes, right? Speaking of that, Vampirem has a decent amount of bosses and they weren't too bad. Some of them could be a little glitchy or simple, but I'm just glad they weren't too frustrating. Only a couple were, but that's to be expected with bosses. The normal difficulty felt like a fair challenge, but some of these bosses were pretty tough and made me want to switch to easy mode. To be honest, I thought there were a bit too many bosses compared to dungeons. Like, I wish I had more time to level up and prepare against these bosses. It made the boss fights feel a little less special, but they actually had some of the most detail in the game. Especially with how they look and sound. Like, I don't think this game looks too bad or has a bad presentation. Some of the voice dialogue can be not as good.
You're pretty strong. I mean, the way you dealt with that scorpion was really impressive.
But most of it actually impressed me for an indie game.
What do we have here? A big, strong vampire, perhaps?
And visually, I don't think this game looks too bad either. I can see the vibe and atmosphere the developer was going for. It's a bit creepy, but not too creepy. There was actually a few good jump scares, which is surprising for me to say. I normally hate them. I thought the dungeons had this dark and enclosed feeling, and I hope you get used to it because that's what the game is like most of the time. The story also feeds into this darker atmosphere, but I'm not very good with stories, and this game is more about the gameplay to me. I think it has something to do with you escaping and overtaking a throne or something, but you should look into it yourself. The most I cared was the dialogue and judging if the voice actor did good or not. Oh, and the character models. Some of them were pretty good, and some not so good. The game seemed to run pretty well for the most part. Maybe some performance issues and frame drops because of the particles or something, but the game looked and ran pretty well for an indie game. I was able to beat the game in about 5.5 hours, so this isn't something you sink your teeth into. Although you can keep playing after you beat the final boss, I just didn't see the point. I don't mind a game being shorter as long as the price isn't too bad, and this game is $15 as I'm recording this video, but I'm sure you can get it on sale for a better price. I also want to thank the developer for giving me a key and bringing this game to my attention so I could share it with the rest of you guys. I think it's pretty cool when a developer reaches out to me, and it's even cooler when it's the type of game I would play, because then you get videos like this. I'm thinking about making a video for the indie developers who want to send me their game, because I won't play just any game, you know? But as for this game, I thought Vampirem was a pretty well-made indie game. I can tell that this game has some care put into it, like there's an idea and some attention to detail in there. It also has more of an indie feeling than a cheap feeling, if you know what I mean. And I appreciated little things like achievements and that rating you would get at the end of a tomb. I just notice a lot of little things when playing an indie game, and overall, Vampirem gets a thumbs up from me. But I think that's about everything I wanted to say. I appreciate whenever a developer reaches out to me. It makes everything feel a little more personal. I know I don't go in the most amount of detail, but that's because I want you to enjoy and experience the game yourself. The developer even has other games in this style, so be sure to check down in the description if you're interested. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the entire video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and want to support me playing these indie games. It'd really mean a lot. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy discovering cool new games and want to stay up to date with my content. Drop a comment telling me what you thought about this game. I'm sure the developer would like to know. And thank you guys for watching the entire video. That's one of the best ways you can support me. And hopefully I'll see you guys later. Peace.
You want something to drink? Sure you don't want to taste? You want something to drink? Sure you don't want to taste? You want something to drink? Sure you don't want to taste?